Hi, I'm Natalie. Thanks so much for joining me. Today I'm going to make a couple of pincushions. So I've already started my projects, and the first project was the sewing machine organizer. Now I'm getting started on the pincushion, and there are two options in your pattern, which is a free download from satirafabrics.com. The first option is simply to cut a circle. And so I've got my circle cut here out of a motif. Oh, it's upside down. There we go. It says Divine Chocolates. So my theme for my set of sewing machine sewing organizers is chocolates, because Valentine's Day is just around the corner and I'm giving these away to a good friend of mine. And I think that chocolate covered strawberries and chocolates just make such a yummy theme for Valentine's Day. All right, so the second way that you can cut it is to cut out the wedges. So I've got some chocolate covered strawberries on a scattered print like this. And to make sure that I get a strawberry on each wedge, I have taken a piece of clear plastic, and this is just some acetate or clear plastic that you get when you buy products online and they wrap it and stuff. That's all it is. It's just a leftover piece of plastic wrap. So I've taken my little triangle pattern and traced it with a pen onto this, and then what I did was I used this and I went around and I looked for the pattern, and then I matched what I wanted, and then I traced around so that I got a strawberry right in the middle each and every time. And so my goal was to get a strawberry each and every time. And in quilting, that's called fussy cutting. In fashion, that would be called matching the motif, or motif matching, sometimes called motif cutting, depending, so these things can be used interchangeably. And so that's what I've done. So I've got 8 wedges already cut with my chocolate covered strawberries. Then it's really fast and easy. Right sides together, pretty sides together. I'm going to sew all the way around at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'll take a couple stitches forward and then I'll take a couple stitches back. As I'm going around the circle, I'm going to lift my presser foot so that we practiced our circular sewing earlier, so that I get a perfect circle. The nice thing about sewing on a motif that is a circle is that my circle will come out straight because I just have to follow the line. All the way around, and then here and there I'll just lift my presser foot to ease off that tension that is invariably built in. So as I'm sewing around, I am sewing on the continuous bias because this is a circle. And so I have to keep lifting my presser foot to make sure that I'm sort of releasing the buildup of tension. I'm going to stop with a needle down, take a few stitches back, and I'm stopping about 2 inches before the end. Okay, so I've got that all sewn up. Turn it inside out. This one I'm going to match 2 edges, and I'm going to sew 2 sections together, and then I'm going to sew 2 sections together. And it's really important not to try to sew all 8 sections together in sequence, because what will happen is you will wind up with a big, and I'm speaking from experience here, a big nasty mess in the middle. So there's a method to the madness when it comes to pressing your seams. Because this isn't actually a quilt, we're going to press the seams open. And you can, if you want to, chain stitch them. So what does chain stitching mean, since we're just learning? That means I can put my two groups together. I've sewn one, and I can put the next set into the machine and keep sewing. And now my next set. Okay, so we've got our two halves sewn together. Here's my two halves. And I've got yummy little strawberries on each of the wedges. I want to match my halves perfectly, so I'm going to locate the center seam on both and just match that up really carefully and add a pin. And the reason that there isn't a pattern for the back of this is because it is very easy for a beginner or even an expert sewer to be off by an eighth. It's just really simple to do. And because it's so easy, and there are 8 wedges, being off by an eighth times 8 wedges is an inch. And so I've set it up so that even if we make little mistakes, and I invariably do, the project will still look nice. And then I'm going to use this piece to trace onto a piece of backing fabric. So I'll just show you what it looks like finished. So here's one that's finished. I've cut my wedges in this case out of a stripe, and there are instructions on how to do that. I have my background fabric and my octagon, sewn octagon, and I've got my chalk, and I'm just going to go lightly around the edge, and that way guaranteed the top and the bottom match. So I've finished cutting, and this is what it looks like. So there's my octagon, here's my other octagon, and I'm going to sew the two together, right sides together, or pretty sides together if you prefer. When I'm sewing, I'm going to start about a centimeter before a seam. I'll sew all the way around, and I'll end a centimeter after a seam. So I will leave about an inch and a quarter, inch and a half between, but I won't pull against any of the seams. And that's just to prevent the seams from opening up. Alright, so I've got this all sewn up, and I just need to turn it inside out, as I did with the other one, and then stuff it full of polyfill. In the end, it will look like this one, if it's the motif, and it'll look like this one, if it's the wedge. So I've got this wedge pincushion set inside a cookie tin, and I've got some swimsuit elastic sewn on here, which was an optional project that you could do if you felt like it. And so this is just some 1/4 inch swimsuit elastic that I've got sewn on here, and that allows me to have 8 little bobbins of thread plus the pin cushion, so I can put my pins, my needles, and some thread inside this little cookie tin, and it makes a great sewing kit. So I hope this has been helpful to you, and please hit that like button, hit subscribe. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm Natalie.